promotion, population, promoting our culture, promoting our tradition.
The acting executive director of the National Nutrition Agency will give his statement on the World Breastfeeding Week, which starts today. Mr. Fofana, the floor is yours.
Have Mr. Dem sitting in for the Director of Social and Behavior Change Communication Directorate, who is also responsible for the coordination of this year's World Breastfeeding Week engagements. I also recognize my brother Sanjay Tarawale, the Deputy Director, representing the Director of Health Promotion and Education at the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Yulia Vidyati. Let me make a special welcome to you. This is the first time we're meeting at Nana. And welcome to Nana. And your colleague from UNICEF, feel at home. The media, the invitees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying the power of media. I'm going to make a statement because I was warned by my team that I should be making a statement, not a lecture. And there's a reason for that. They know the passion I have for infant and child feeding. In my first degree, I focused on infant and child feeding. So I have passion for infant and child feeding. When I talk about infant and child feeding, I can talk and talk and talk. So they asked me to make a statement than to make a lecture. And I'm going to abide by that, the team. But the power of media cannot be overemphasized. The whole world very soon will hear or see what the Gambia is doing or plans to do during the course of this month to commemorate World Breastfeeding Week. So we thank all the media houses for coming. This is wonderful. You did not disappoint us. We are expecting a full house, and we have full house. And I'm sure that we will disseminate as widely as possible messages that we will come out of this press conference and other engagement. So on that note, I will read a statement. I made a statement, and today I'm going to try and make a statement. Distinguished invited ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered here to celebrate yet another World Breastfeeding Week, starting with this press conference. As customary, World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated globally every year from August 1st to the 7th in more than 120 countries across the world. But in the Gambia, we celebrate the World Breastfeeding Week throughout the month of August. For the past 6-7 years, we celebrate the whole month of August to mark the week. The World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action, WABA, selects a timely theme each year to commemorate World Breastfeeding Week. This year's theme is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All. The theme this year focuses on inclusive support and access to breastfeeding resources for every mother and child, with emphasis on survival, health, and well-being. The commemoration of the World Breastfeeding Week will celebrate breastfeeding mothers in all their diversity through their breastfeeding journeys, while showcasing the ways families, society, communities, and health workers can support every breastfeeding mother. It will also showcase the need to improve breastfeeding support, to reduce inequalities in our societies, with a special focus on breastfeeding in times of emergency and crisis. The objective of this year's World Breastfeeding Week is in fourfold. One is to inform people about inequalities that exist in breastfeeding support and prevalence. Two, to anchor breastfeeding as an equalizer to close gaps within the society. Three, to engage with individuals and organizations to enhance collaboration and support for breastfeeding. And four, galvanize actions on reducing inequalities in breastfeeding support by focusing on the vulnerable groups. The National Nutrition Agency, in collaboration with key partners such as the Minister of Health and you, the media, with support from UNICEF, observe World Breastfeeding Week throughout the month of August to highlight how important breastfeeding is to this country and its people. Distinguished invited ladies and gentlemen, the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action, the World Health Organization, and UNICEF established the World Breastfeeding Week initiative to promote exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of a child's life. This has many health benefits, including providing vital nutrients, protecting infants from fatal diseases like pneumonia, reducing food insecurity, fostering bonding, love, growth, and development. Every child should be breastfed optimally. And by that we mean initially breastfeeding within the 4th hour of birth, breastfeeding exclusively in the first 6 months of the child's life, followed by continued breastfeeding with appropriate complementary food up to 2 years and beyond, regardless of background status. As enshrined in the Convention on the Right of the Child, every child and infant has the right to good nutrition. Thus, reflecting on this year's theme, WHO has reported that undernutrition is associated with 45% of child death globally in 2022. WHO also further revealed that 149 million children under 5 years are estimated to be stunted, meaning they are shorter for their age. 45 million were estimated to be wasted, meaning they are too thin for their height, and 37 million were overweight or obese. This clearly indicates a double burden within this future generation. Underweight on one hand, overweight, obesity on the other hand. In the same generation that we are looking out to in the future. The report further states that 44% of infants 0 to 6 months are exclusively breastfed. It is evident that over 820,000 lives could be saved every year among children under 5 if all the children from birth to 2 years were optimally breastfed. It is also evident that breastfeeding improves IQ of people, the school performance of children, and it's also associated with higher income in adult life because it laid the strong foundation for the human capital. Back in the Gambia, breastfeeding is a deeply rooted cultural norm where almost every mother breastfeeds their baby. The rate of exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months has steadily increased over the years. According to the DHS, exclusive breastfeeding has increased from 48% in 2013 to 54% in 2019-2020. This has been realized through collaboration between the government, agencies, ministries, departments, and our development partners, such as UNICEF. However, more support is still needed to promote, protect, and support optimal infant and child feeding in order to meet the 60% target set out in our National Nutrition Policy 2021-2025 and the global target of 70% set by the World Health Assembly for 2030. It is gratifying to note that the Gambia has already exceeded the global target for increasing exclusive breastfeeding to 50% by 2025. As highlighted by Bakari, we are already at 54%, but still more is needed to reach the global target. All the stakeholders that have contributed to this achievement are highly commended. The government, through NANA and partners, are committed to and willing to work with every stakeholder to invest in optimizing infant and young child health and nutrition. And together, we will endeavor to continue to maintain and sustain the gains that are already made. Ladies and gentlemen, to provide the platform for optimizing infant and child feeding, the Gambia has developed policies, strategies, and programs to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding. Key among these are the current National Nutrition Policy, with its accompanying multi-sectoral nutrition strategic plan to address current realities by giving us direction and focus as what we need to do and how we do it. The Breastfeeding Promotion Regulation 2006 to regulate the promotion, the sales, marketing, and distribution of infant formula in the country. The implementation of 1991 Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, which gave birth to the Baby Friendly Community Initiative to provide the needed support for optimal infant and young child health at the grassroots level, and the establishment of high-level stakeholder involvement in promoting optimal infant and young child feeding. These are key strategies that we hope, when fully implemented, can achieve the target set in our policy and at the global level. The achievements realized in promoting optimal breastfeeding, especially exclusive breastfeeding, were further enhanced by the Women's Act 2010, which provide a 6-month paid maternity leave and other equivalent social benefits to working mothers without compromising their employment, the seniority or promotion, or other similar benefits. The government of the Gambia expresses its profound gratitude and appreciation to all the partners for their technical and financial support and collaboration to make this accomplishment possible. Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to embark on our social and behavior change communication engagements during the month of August, I am honored to be associated with all the stakeholders and the program that are geared towards promoting, protecting, and supporting exclusive breastfeeding, as it will improve the lives and livelihood of women and children, thus building a strong foundation for our human capital. Without a doubt, breastfeeding is food security and helps to ensure that babies have access to safe and adequate food and nourishment, even during emergencies and crises. During the course of the month of August, the agency and the partners will intensify and diversify the social and behavior change communication engagement, which would include a statement by His Excellency, the Vice President, that was read yesterday and read on the GRTS. This press conference to inform the general public about the importance of exclusive breastfeeding and to subscribe to the establishment and maintenance of breastfeeding-friendly workplaces, corners, and crèches. Engagement with institutions to collect human interest stories, to showcase experiences and perspectives of parents, employers, and employees on the impact of paid maternity leave through audiovisuals. Organizing seminars and lectures in order to improve and expand the scope of breastfeeding knowledge. Engagement of community structures to promote and facilitate the practice of exclusive breastfeeding, and soliciting commitment from institutions, both public and private, beginning with the agency itself, to establish a breastfeeding-friendly workplace and environment. Let me reiterate that in difficult circumstances, families and children require attention and practical support. In such situations, mothers and infants should remain together whenever feasible and practically possible to receive the assistance they require to practice the most appropriate feeding option, which is breastfeeding. In almost all difficult situations, breastfeeding is still the recommended method of feeding infants adequate. To reduce breastfeeding inequalities, no one must be left behind, especially women who are most vulnerable and may require additional support. I would like to encourage every parent, guardian, employer, or employee to pay special attention to the important and essential messages that will be shared during this celebration in order to benefit our future, our children, the future of our nation and society. I also appeal to all institutions, be it private or public, to strive towards creating a work environment that is friendly and accommodating, particularly to employees who are breastfeeding. Let us remember that breastfeeding is not a choice, it is a responsibility. Breastfeeding is a community effort. Families, friends, peers, neighbors, health workers provide, all of them provide a very vital role. Breastfeeding offers not only improved health of the mother and the child, but also economic and environmental benefits to the community and the society. Breastfeeding does not waste scarce resources or create pollution. It instead preserves nature and environment. Breastfeeding is a naturally renewable resources that require no packaging, no shipment, or disposal. Every mother deserves access to supporting breastfeeding culture, society, and environment. Therefore, share, inform, educate, and communicate as widely as possible so that no one is left behind. Thank you for your kind attention.
They still continue to be breastfed, but the breastfeeding is now complemented with other foods to be able so that the child can grow optimally. He has also told us that because we are not practicing exclusive breastfeeding optimally, especially exclusive breastfeeding, annually there are over 800,000 deaths occurring in the world as a result of not practicing optimal breastfeeding. We know breastfeeding improves on IQ, which is the intelligence. Therefore, children who are optimally fed are likely to perform very well in school. And because they perform very well in school, they have a higher chance of having a high income during adulthood. So you can see that breastfeeding is not only related to the health of the child, but it's also related to the economy of the child. The agency, with its partners, have identified key activities that they will be implementing. Amongst these activities, the statement that was delivered on national TV by His Excellency the Vice President yesterday on the occasion of the World Breastfeeding Week. This current press conference that is going on, but there will be engagements with institutions to collect human interest stories that will be aired on TV and radio, so that they can be used as uh, avenues to encourage other people to practice what this human interest stories, what other people were doing. There will be lectures and seminars to create awareness about breastfeeding. Communities will be engaged, and there will also be solicitations from institutions to commit themselves to the practice of optimal infant feeding, making their workplaces mother friendly, mother and baby friendly for optimal infant feeding. He's mentioned a lot of things, but what is important is that uh, breastfeeding is something that we need to promote, and we are looking forward to and looking to up to you, the media, to help us in this drive. As has already been mentioned, the World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated from the 1st to the 7th annually globally.
I'm making this contribution on behalf of our director, Mr. Mendy, who is in the uh, province with our honorable minister. They are inaugurating some facilities in the regions. As I said, it's important for the fact that breastfeeding is a human right, not only for food, but I think the newborn, they deserve that right, because food is a fundamental human right. When a child comes into this world, as soon as the child takes in air, the first thing that should be given is food. And the natural, of course, naturally, the natural food is breast milk. This is important. And the reason why we've been celebrating this over a year, for so many years, I just, since 1992, the world has been celebrating World Breastfeeding Week. It's an important occasion. The advocacy is we want to tell the whole world, especially the employers, that not only the children to have access to breast milk, but also their mothers should be given that opportunity to give time to their kids to be breastfed. I know there is increased number of women in the workforce. Many people are being employed in formal sector and even some in the non-formal sector. So I think that advocacy is important for employers to understand that women should also be given the opportunity to give time to their kids to breastfeed. I think that's an important message. And we understand the role of the media, because we, in addition to what we are doing at the level of the community, engaging the communities through meetings, the media can spread the message in a wider scope and in a shortest possible time. Because if we will find it difficult to reach everybody at individual level. But with the media, like you, from here, if you spread this message, I think many people will get the information in the shortest possible time. That will not be the end. We will continue with our engagement as another form of strategy. But we will also want you, as you have been doing. I know you've been doing, but we hope you will continue to do, and we are even so that you will continue to do, to spread this message. It's an important theme for this year, bridging the gap, because we are not yet there. Globally, breastfeeding, we need to do more globally. Gambia has been doing well, but other countries are struggling. But collectively, if we share the information and people are empowered, people have the requisite knowledge, and people implement what we are saying, I think we can go a long way in achieving what our desired goal. Because what we want is every child to be given that opportunity to be given breastfeed, and especially in the first 6 months. That is very important. But breastfeeding, we understand, even in some faith-based religious angle, we know that it's an important thing that should be exercised by every parent. I don't want to dwell much. We have other speakers here, but I just want to welcome, and I want to thank all of you for responding to the call. And from here, we will continue with our effort. And as I said, in the not long distance future, what we want to see is like every child to be fully breastfed. The first 6 months is also important. The exclusive breastfeeding, we also want to see that increase. And even other forms of food, once we start introducing them, we want to have best food for our children, our infants. So on that note, I want to thank all of you once again, and I do hope that from here, the message will be spread to a wider community, to the general population. And I do hope not only the message, but most of us, I will say, almost all of us are parents. We can also not only carry the message to the offices, but also at homes. Let's take the message to homes, because we are also parents. So on that note, I want to thank all of you once again. And I want to thank Nana. We'll continue with our collaboration, with our effort. On that note, I want to thank all of you once again. Thank you.
To mark the start of the World Breastfeeding Week 2024. World Breastfeeding Week was established to celebrate the importance of breastfeeding and advocate for the protection, promotion, and support for breastfeeding everywhere. This year, the theme for the commemoration is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All. Containing essential antibodies that protect children against diseases, breast milk is a safe, nutritious, and sustainable source of good nutrition for children. Yet, despite the known benefits, millions of children around the world continue to not be exclusively breastfed in their first 6 months of life, putting them at increased risk of illness, death, reduced learning potential, and health complications into adulthood. The Gambia is among the few countries that have achieved significant progress in exclusive breastfeeding, with 5 out of 10 children exclusively breastfed in the last survey. The country is on course to achieve the 2025 Global Nutrition Target of increasing the rate of exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months up to at least 50%. While this is a significant improvement, many women across the country face barriers, such as harmful marketing practices, lack of access to quality healthcare, and weak family-friendly policies when making infant feeding decisions. to build on World Health Assembly target of 50% by 2025 and ultimately the global target of 70% by 2030, these barriers must be addressed. UNICEF is supporting the government of the Gambia to remove these barriers. Today, as we mark as this special occasion, we reconfirm our commitment to support the government and call on government of the Gambia to 1. Ensure investment in breastfeeding by creating national line budgets for breastfeeding to strengthen practices, policies, and programs. 2. Ensure that at-risk mothers and infants, those in underrepresented communities, and those in emergencies receive equitable provision of breastfeeding protection and support to address their unique needs adequately. 3. Enforce the Breastfeeding Promotion Regulation 2006 on marketing of breast milk substitutes with national monitoring mechanism to routinely report code violation, including digital marketing practices. 4. Implement friendly workplace policies as paid maternity leave and breastfeeding breaks and collect and use data on mothers' experience with employment. This includes creche for communal workplace. And 5. Provide skilled breastfeeding counseling to all mothers as part of routine health coverage concerns of every child, not only in the Gambia but also in the region. My appreciation goes to the Ministry of Health for its efforts in integrating nutrition into primary health care and guaranteeing the availability of staff and facilities for the successful execution of nutrition program. My appreciation goes to donors, in particular government of Japan, for their continued support to improve nutritional status of the children in the Gambia. Together, we will continue to work for a Gambia where children not only survive but thrive. Thank you.
And the fact that we are today is the day we starting the celebration of the World Breastfeeding Week, which is globally recognized or celebrated from the 1st to the 7th of August every year. And each year, a theme is selected for celebration of this week. And for this year's celebration, the theme is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding for All. And the aim is to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding in the world. She has highlighted the fact that even though breastfeeding, including exclusive breastfeeding, has been amply confirmed or clearly confirmed to have massive benefits for the general public, especially for the young child. Still, millions of children are unable to be or are not getting optimal infant feeding. And this has their consequences for the health and well-being of the children and the future of those people and their countries in which they live. And she also has highlighted that almost half of all children in the Gambia are exclusively breastfed, and the proportion is increasing. However, as it is right now, still many children in the Gambia are not being reached or are not practicing or are not being offered the opportunity to practice exclusive breastfeeding due to some barriers. And she mentioned 3 key barriers that are very important that we need to address. One is the inappropriate marketing of breast milk substitutes. That's one. 2, she talked about another barrier is the access and ability of mothers to be able to practice exclusive breastfeeding. And finally, the third one she mentioned is coming from pressures from outside, whether it is from the immediate family or the community in which they live, or through the social media, through our television, our radio. These are all creating that avenue, pressurizing this mother to not practice exclusive breastfeeding because it is they are promoting other options of feeding as being more useful to the mother, when in reality the reverse is the truth. She has said that the global target for 2025, the World Health target for exclusive breastfeeding is 50 in 2025, but the SDG target for 2030 is 70%. We in the Gambia have already surpassed the 2025 target of exclusive breastfeeding because we are at 54%, but we still have a long way to go. And as we are heading to 2030, our aim is to reach and even surpass the 70% target of exclusive breastfeeding. And that can only be done with your support, the media. She has identified some 5 action points, key action points that need to be taken to ensure that exclusive breastfeeding and the optimal infant and young child feeding are adopted, and to help us attain that 70% target by 2030. First among them is that government starts investing into infant and young child feeding programs by creating a budget line which is actually provided with funds for implementation of programs related to infant and young child feeding. She has also talked about providing mothers, at-risk mothers, with equitable services to protect and support breastfeeding. She's also talked about enforcing the breastfeeding promotion regulation of the Gambia, which is also one of the documents or one of the tools that we have for ensuring and protecting breastfeeding in the Gambia. Also to implement workplace breastfeeding friendly programs or initiatives. For instance, creating crèches or ensuring that mothers have breastfeeding breaks so that they are able to optimally feed their children during the first 2 years. And lastly, she also mentioned the provision of skilled counseling to mothers on infant and young child feeding. So she ended by appreciating the support and the work of partners in making sure that we are where we are, and hoping that we will reach higher heights in the near future. She mentioned about NANA, the Ministry of Health, donors, particularly the government of Japan. Of course, she didn't mention themselves, but UNICEF is a very important partner in our drive to attaining the global nutrition targets, including the targets on breastfeeding. So, Julia and UNICEF, we thank you for the support that you are providing the government of the Gambia to bring about improved health and well-being, especially for our children in the Gambia. So thank you very much, Julia. And this is key. Basically, this was what Julia's statement focused on. And she's encouraging all of us to take our rightful stance to make sure that exclusive breastfeeding and optimal infant feeding is achieved in the Gambia. Thank you very much.
I teach in one of the private schools. When you got pregnant and then delivered, the school said they will replace her because they cannot give her. She has to go. We know in the government sector you have what they call the paternal leave for 6 months. But in most of the private sectors, they are adhering to this. Because they say she's a mother and then she cannot be with her child in that school. She came to the office and she was directed to go to leave. Actually, what comes out of it is like when they engage the proprietor of the school, she said the students need a teacher, and then she cannot be paid somebody who is not working full salary while the students are in class, and it's need to also employ another teacher, and therefore she can't do it. So I think at the end, what they come up with is now she was paid half salary, and was asked to stay at home. And they employed a new teacher to become a teacher. So in this instance, I don't know what the government or the ministry is doing to remedy such. Is it that the private sector are not aware of it, and that it is part of the rights of their employees to be given maternal leave? Or is it that because they're just exercising excessive power to make sure that those employees suffer those activities?
Sent from foreign newspapers. The story of this woman, this teacher, and the school relationship. Let it be clear that the Women Empowerment Act is not only related to government institutions. It is an act of the Gambia. So it affects everybody in the Gambia. And in that act provides every woman in the Gambia a 6 months maternity leave. It is not only for public employees, but for private employees. Everybody also has the right to, it's our own right, obligation to know about the existence of this law. Employers should also understand what this law is. And it is not only for private. It is even wrong. The woman could have taken this school to court, and she would win because she is supposed to be maintained. She should get a full 6 months leave, whereby she will receive her full salary. She will not be discriminated because she is gone on this maternity leave. She cannot be given half salary. She could have taken that. Unfortunately, our problem is we have done everything to make people understand about the existence of this bill, this law within the Women's Act. But there are scenarios where some people don't even want to take it up. So, not only for Nelson, but for all of us to understand that the law is not for public institutions only. It's for the for the whole of the Gambia, irrespective of whether it's public or private. That woman was entitled to a 6 months paid leave by her employer. There is no reason why she should have been given her salary. So you can also help us share this information. In case you come across scenarios like this, please also refer them to the Act. This is the Women's Act.
Because most of these working women, sometimes some of them are undergoing some kind of illness and they are not at the position whereby they can feed their child themselves. So I want to know how big or how small our breast milk are and also some of them are using for that.
Thank you very much.
During your presentation, you made mention exclusive breastfeeding or breastfeeding in general is economically friendly and environmentally friendly. So I want more light, for you to throw more light on that, so that when people know about this, they might think of practicing exclusive breastfeeding.
What other steps will not happen in addressing those challenges or barriers that were mentioned by Madam?
The idea of milk bank is being floated, but we don't have milk bank in the country. Locally, as a country, we are blessed. We are blessed, like I said in my statement, that almost every mother in this country breastfeeds their babies. There are very few exceptions where a child is on breastfeed. So the need for a milk bank, yes, is part of the strategies, but it is not being operationalized as yet, because the need is not that felt. If need is felt, we could have pushed for its establishment. But it will help. It's just like the blood bank. Huh? Everybody needs blood. Huh? At some point, if there's an emergency. But for us, culturally, there are ways and means that people can do to support a mother to breastfeed. So that's why we didn't establish any milk bank. In addition to what Bakari have said about that woman, on Nelson's question or comment, we will need you, the media, to help us. That's why at the end of my statement I say, please share, inform, educate, and communicate. Because both employers, employees, the society in general, need to be aware of the instruments that are there to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding. One of which we said is the regulation to regulate the sales, promotion, distribution of infant formula. But the Women's Act is there that empower every formal employee, be it public or private, to have 6 months maternity leave. If your employer did not want it, take them to the court. And I have witnessed 2 occasions or 2 scenarios. Both are private. One is at the post office, Gambia Post, something, postal service. The employer did not want to get 6 months. And instead it's 3 months, and the lady insists 6 months. We get consultation, we refer them to the law. When they look at the law, the employer agreed to give 6 months. That same employer at some point said that lady is the most committed staff among all the staff after the 6 months. The law is there to help employers as well. If a mother have a child and the child falls sick, that mother cannot come to work. Even if she comes to work, she cannot concentrate on the work. There will be no efficiency in the work that they do. Even efficiency, the mind should be steady. A mother with a sick child does not have steady work, the mind to work. That's one aspect of it. Huh? So every employer need to aware that. So, but I think we all need to ensure that we create awareness so that people are aware of the law. It's not a law for Nana or a law for the Minister of Health, but it's a law for the country. And anybody who employs anybody must be aware of this law. There's a question on the economic and environmental friendliness of breastfeeding. On the economics, sometimes we say breastfeeding is free. What does it cost to breastfeed compared to the cost required to feed a child with a formula? A child less than 3 months will require minimum 4 tins of milk in a month. 4. Those who do arithmetic. The cost of the cheapest milk, not even the formula, cheapest milk, is around 150 times 4, just for the child, times 4. That's only for milk. You need gas, electricity, or firewood, or charcoal to prepare that milk. You need water, you need utensils. It takes time. If you cost all that, you cannot compare that to breastfeeding. You cannot compare it. So in terms of economic, it saves the family a lot of resources, a lot of money, just to breastfeed. For the environment, like I said, the firewood comes from the forest, or the charcoal comes from the forest. Huh? The water that you use to clean your utensils, you need to throw into in the environment. The empty tins, you need to take care of them. So all that have an impact on our environment. If we all breastfeed, we can save a lot of things in our environment. All these are things that are hidden benefits of breastfeeding. Yes, the child will get the required nutrients. It will improve the health, the IQ, whatever. But the society will also benefit because we have very little impact on destroying our environment. What are we taking to address the barriers? Madam Dr. Villiers has highlighted some barriers. One of them is government investment. Government investment in creating a budget line for breastfeeding or for nutrition has been one of the key advocacy tools that we have been using over the past years. To a level that we organize meetings with the National Assembly that approve the national budget. And we expose them to the importance of nutrition, including breastfeeding. They show commitment to a level that they have identified amongst themselves nutrition champions, people who are championing nutrition at the level of the National Assembly, who are promoting the ideal of nutrition at the National Assembly level. We hope that in the coming years we'll have something. Secondly, we also have meetings with the council. At the council level, our emphasis was that yes, government has established institutions, employ staff, but when it comes to programs, it's mainly driven by donors. And government need to also own those programs. Government also needs to contribute to those programs. So we're hopeful that government will include some development funds for nutrition. That will also try to address some of those challenges. In terms of equitable access to protection, the law is there, the regulations are there to ensure that everybody who has a challenge is challenged. It's the way and where we channel our challenges. It's the way and the manner we understand the context of the challenge. But there are ways and means of ensuring that anybody who has a challenge in feeding your child, you have support at some level. That's why your role is important, to inform and educate people. In terms of employment-friendly workplace, these are advocacies that we are doing. Like I give an example, there was also one private sector firm. I think it's engaged in flight, something like they sell tickets to these agencies. They employ one of their employees get pregnant, delivered, and apply for the maternity leave. And the employer say, no, 6 months, no, we cannot, just like you saw the teacher. The employee informed the office. We send them the code from the policy, the code from the law, and they accepted. So similar thing can happen to the teacher as well. Perhaps the people at labor did not understand the context of the law. But the law is very clear as to avoid any discrimination, to make sure that the workplace became friendly. To make it friendly, it requires some adjustments. We require some understanding between the employer and the employee, in the sense that in some instances, employers will allow the employee who is breastfeeding to start late and close early. That's acceptable. But it depends on how your relationship between you and your employer. Some will allow you to bring your child to the workplace and create some space for you to breastfeed. If you cannot sit at home, you may come with your child to your workplace. That's work friendly because it will ensure that the mother and the child have access to each other at all times. And when the child needs the breast milk, the child get the breast milk as required. But all that, there are a lot of strategies, even at the community level, in the communities. We work with some of the communities to create what we call rest houses at the field. Those who are working in the rice fields, in the groundnut fields, in the coos fields, and they are breastfeeding, they walk long distance to reach their fields. They cannot go to the field, come back and breastfeed, go to the field, come back and breastfeed. So we work with some of the communities to build what we call rest houses at the field level. And they'll go to the field, they'll put the child on that seat, they'll go and do work on their field. When the child needs the breast, they come and breastfeed and leave the child to rest under the seat. All those are strategies that we are doing to make the workplace friendly for the mother and for the child. In terms of the challenge on counseling, we are trying as much as possible with the Minister of Health to build capacities of health workers for better counseling on breastfeeding. We are also building capacities of community structures, such as the village support groups, to provide counseling to mothers in the communities that require support for breastfeeding. Equally, we have plans to identify counselors or focal points in institutions that will be capacitized to provide counseling to any mother in their workplace that needs counseling. In our engagements to take the human interest studies, we will also try to identify people within institutions that can be used as counselors, and we will build their capacity for them to be able to provide counseling to people that need counseling. So these are strategies that we are trying to employ to ensure that we improve on the inequalities that exist in our community. I hope I answered the questions.
You talked about issues that teachers face. We will be meeting the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Because in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education is a policy. It's a law that you cannot take the child to the classroom. So until or unless that law is addressed, mothers who are teachers or students will find it challenging to take these children into the classroom. So the workplace is not friendly then for the teacher or for a student mother. We will also be engaging the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Education with similar to what I have explained with MOPS. We will also be meeting the National Assembly. I think the National Assembly, they don't make laws, but they approve the laws, if I get it right. So they make laws. Okay, so in this case, let's say, for example, if the MOPS revise the policy and take it to National Assembly, we want their political support, their buy-in, so that they can support, yes, at the school level, maybe create a room, create a corner, create a space, so that this corner, space, or room can be used by teachers who have children or students who come with their children. Because in their law, they have what they call second chance for people who are dropouts and want to come back to school. Probably they were dropout because they have a child. So we will be engaging the National Assembly with a lot of advocacies. But you talked about issues with the private sector. It's twofold. It's either they don't know or the law is not enforced. So we want to engage the private sector so that they know first. And when they know, we commit them in supporting. If the private sector, who also employs a lot of women, are able to create the workplace and make it very friendly, then we might not be encountering these problems. But we are not leaving the government ministries. NANA, for example, Ministry of Gender, and NANA already have a space. So it's a matter of working on the space and get it was established, re-establish it again. So these advocacies we will be doing. But we are not leaving the rural people. So we will be doing a lot of community engagement. Malang mentioned why we are engaging them. For example, we are not forgetting those women farmers. We are not forgetting those farmers in the provinces, those who have gardens, those who go to the rice fields. They might want to take along their babies because many a times the problem is when you have to be separated from your baby. Even though from the nutrition point of view, you should be able to express your breast milk and keep it under room temperature for 8 hours. But if this is a challenge, we will encourage them to go with their children to the fields where they work. So on those fields, we are trying to engage them and make them commit so that charity begins at home. They can do something and have a waiting shed or call it a rest house. During our last year's engagement with them, it was very apparent that this rest house goes beyond helping them to bring their children, but it even protects them from harsh weathers. During rains, they shelter in those rest houses. When the sun is very hot, they also shelter in those rest houses. So we see a lot of benefits with these rest houses. So we will be also doing a lot of educational promotion or educational forums, seminars. We will be targeting institutions and we will be engaging them, and not like in a form of press briefing, but in the form of more detailed discussion around the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding. We are not going to have a lot, but we thank UNICEF for supporting all these activities. And we also thank them for supporting us in the printing of promotional materials. This year, we will be having some promotional materials. They are not many, but we can start from some, and then gradually we will increase. And these promotional materials, we believe, those that we cannot reach or some of the people we are reaching, we will give them these promotional materials that will bear the key messages, that will bear the logos and the other information that we want to disseminate. So I want to appeal to the chair and others on the high table. We have other technical officers around who worked behind the scene personally, and on behalf of the executive director and other team, I want to thank them. There's a lot of work that they are doing to make sure that these activities happen and to make sure that it is done very well. And equally, they can respond to most of these questions that are asked, and I believe we can also avail them the opportunity when questions are asked so that they can equally respond. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think he now covered all the questions that were asked.
Gambian Talents TV. Gambian Talents TV. Promotion, population, promoting our culture, promoting